Welcome back to our Gentry Walk. How you're doing? We got Harvey back with us, fresh from Ewood Park on Friday. How you're doing? It's a little bit late in the day to review it all. We've got midweek fixtures to come, but some important things to come out of that game. Namely, what is wrong with Heckingbottom's viewpoints? Saying we're playing for a draw away at Rovers, a team that's already beaten us in a derby when we're going for playoffs. Is it a weak mentality? Well, that's going to put to Harvey this week to get his views on all that. Plus, we're also talking about who impressed us in that game and just why can't we beat Blackburn? And are the playoffs gone for us now? Might we just wave goodbye to them? Lots to come. Plus, we're asking Harvey which away trip he'd love to have up from League One if we are staying in this division. Plus, are we falling out of love with football as a nation? And he's on his own for the letter Q. All the others have deserted him this week. Fingers crossed he's got a good one for us. Let's find out. How you doing, mate? Difficult Friday night for you in that away end?
It started really well, and then obviously the closer you get to kick off, the nerves start to kick in, and I think obviously it was 90 minutes of pure boredom and then heartbreak, and I don't think I spoke to anybody for about an hour after it. So it sums up my Friday really.
Okay, of course, we're recording this on a Monday, so it's a long time after the Friday game, and you got over it now?
No, not really, because obviously with the week that we've got coming, it's probably only going to get worse. So no, not just yet.
Okay. Let's look at some social media takes from it then, shall we? Alex says, you would have taken a point against a team that low down the table? There's some mentality where we supposedly want playoffs. It's a little bit embarrassing. This is, of course, in response to Heckingbottom's quotes after the game saying we would have been happy with a point. Not many fans would have been happy with a point, Harvey. Has he lost a few on that one?
I can imagine so, yeah. But it depends how you look at it. I'd say, obviously, with Michael O'Neill coming in and getting a good result away at QPR, that obviously maybe the momentum started to shift with them a bit. But even still, it's one win in a really tough list of form that they've had recently, and you would have liked to think that, given where we are and given where they are, maybe you could argue that maybe they wanted it more, but you couldn't really say that watching the game. So it's definitely a poor mentality to have, and I think that mentality was taken to the game. We didn't look threatening. We didn't create very much at all. And at the end of the day, Rovers have turned up and they've snatched all 3 points from us, and we look very silly now going into what is a couple of really tough fixtures. So I would definitely agree. It's a weird mentality to have, yeah.
Yeah, and that one win coming against the Pompey side, which actually probably didn't deserve to win either, was it? Let's be frank. So, since the turn of the year, North End have stuck the place out. Why is that? I mean, it's not just that Harrison Armstrong's gone, is it? There's something going on behind the scenes. Do you think?
You could say that. I mean, to me, it's typical North End fashion, isn't it? To get your hopes up by playing so well from August to all the way to December, and in the new year it kind of just crumbles. I think that I don't know what it is, whether it's a mentality thing, whether it's the managers could throw their arms up and down after they've not had like the January they wanted, etc. It could be a number of factors, but at the end of the day, it's happening majority of seasons, and there's something that needs to click that stops that rot really, and we either need to fully commit to getting into that top six, or we just need to not bother at all.
Yeah. There's a few. David Cooper says, we would have taken a point is dreadful. It's a crazy idea. We should go out and try and win that game. The 22nd of reason, we've rolled over twice against them. It's not good enough. We'll be bottom half of the table in a few weeks. Yeah, I mean, away at Blackburn, it's not a good point, is it? It is a fixture you should go for playoff reasons, local derby reasons, and they've already beaten you at Deepdale. There's another reason to get one over them. I don't understand the mentality.
No, me neither. I think especially with the first game as well, obviously you could see maybe a little bit of fight in the sense that, we went 1-0 down and had the character and the mentality to go and equalise before the first half, second half, sorry. But this one, there was just nothing in it. There was no fight. There was, I think it was Callum Langu coming in and put a tackle in to get a yellow card, and that was about 70 minutes into the game, and that's that's the kind of grit and determination you want to be seeing in a derby. And we just looked so short from it. We looked like absolutely, spineless, like emotionless. There weren't very many people I could pick out and say, you've had a game and you've looked like you wanted it here. And it's the same for Blackburn, really. I didn't think that they were amazing, but I just think that we were a side who looked worse. And if you were watching that from a neutral point of view, you wouldn't have been able to tell who was challenging for top six and who was near the bottom half.
Yeah. Let's look at another one. Will says, first 10 minutes I thought we were great, but then it went downhill. About this, changing the two wing backs simultaneously, especially bringing Lewis on for Vukcevic was a killer. Free header by the smallest man on the pitch. Also horrid, yeah. Disappointing. What about the wing back situation there? Do you agree about some of the subs going on?
Yeah, I completely agree. I said it to my friend at the time. I didn't. The only one I probably could have understood was Valentin. I don't know what it is with him. I think in a lot of recent games, he's starting to look a little bit leggy after maybe the first 45. Don't get me wrong, I didn't think Vukcevic was having a great game in terms of probably what you'd expect from him, but I don't think that there was any need to change it, especially when the substitution made it worse. I think if you asked any North End fan, they'd tell you that that's probably Lewis's or any player's performance, like any player's worst game in a Preston shirt all season. He was too terrified to take his man on. It was just backwards. It really killed any sort of momentum that I think Hecky would have wanted going forward after the substitutions. But I think that they were a contribution to killing the game. But even still, the first two substitutions being wing backs, I think was a little bit silly in my opinion. I think that it clearly outlined what Hecky's plan was, because that was all the game was. It was just passing it backwards around the whole back line for 45 minutes, and we didn't look a threat going down the wings or through the middle at all. So say what you will, I think the subs are wrong, and I think the setup was wrong from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dobbin being subbed as well. Some fans were saying, look, he's the one player that gets in the pockets. He's the one player that can take players on, and yet he always seems to be the one that. And it's always the same sub as well, and the same regularly on the same every game, the same minute. Is that a questionable one or not?
Yeah, I think it's one that a lot of fans have been turning their heads at. Maybe I've seen like a lot of people saying there's something in his contract where he can't play like a full 90 minutes or something like that. I don't know. It's really strange, especially when he is. I wouldn't say he's the best player, but I'd definitely say he's a player who can definitely give you something in a game when you need it. Obviously, like you just mentioned, he's not really afraid to take players on. I did think he had quite a quiet game at Rovers, but yeah, it's one I find really strange, and obviously in Bottom's comments about him like not being Maradona just kind of make it. You kind of batting your eyelids at it a bit more and saying like, what is the situation there? So I don't know, but it is a weird one.
Yeah, okay. And Thierry Small as well. Thoughts on him? I mean, you watch him every single week. I just watched him on Friday night. I don't know.
Personally, I can imagine I might get a few like pellets this. Personally, I'm not a fan. I do think that I do understand the aspect of giving time because he is young. Obviously, he's an England under-21 player, and he's probably that for a reason. But I just don't really see the appeal. I think that when we first looked at him, obviously in the Charlton game, I think that he looked really bright for Charlton. He looked like somebody who could just get at you constantly. And when we signed him, there were glimpses of that at the start. But again, it's a bit of a contradicting opinion because he did do it a little bit at Rovers, but I've not seen enough of him take a player on in a one-on-one situation where I think that probably Vukcevic is probably better at doing that, especially with the pace that Small has and probably the ability he has. I just don't think he gets forward enough for me. I think that he's got a bit to do to develop defensively, but I'm assuming that'll just come with time. But I think he is one that the jury is out for with the order he gets. But right now, I'm not that pleased.
All right. Our playoffs gone.
Pardon?
Our playoffs gone.
I'd probably say so, yeah. Especially with the teams in and around there. Obviously, you've got like your Wrexhams, Birmingham, Southampton are back in the mix again. A lot of teams just look better than us at the minute. The form's better, the momentum's better. Obviously, you could definitely argue that the the quality in squad is better. I think that we've just kind of thrown too many games away now to have a shot. Don't get me wrong, it's still really close, and in 10 games time we could be looking at this in a completely different position. But I just think that unless North End finds some consistency and find it really quick, and also find a way to get back to that mentality of grinding out results even when you're not at your best, I very much struggle to see how we'd be in there. But you never know, and a lot can change in the Championship. But for me, I just think a bit too far past it now.
Yes, a trip to South Wales then midweek. Of course, we've done this before that, and then Millwall at home on Saturday. They are stuttering themselves, Millwall. At the moment, they're up there, but they're not playing well, and this is a good time to play them, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree. But obviously, they are in a better position than us as it stands. And before we even look at Millwall, we've got a game tomorrow against Swansea, which will be a hard game. I don't think Preston have ever had a good record at Swansea away. You've got the likes of Vipotnik, who's banging goals in for fun. So it's definitely a tough week, and I keep saying it a lot on this podcast, but it's games like this where you've just got to be able to get the results, or you're just going to quickly find yourself sliding down the table, really.
Okay, fingers crossed. We don't want this brilliant season coming to a really, really sad end and ending 14th again. That would just do everyone's head in. But before you go, thank you so much for all the comments we received on last week's video as well. We really appreciate it. We read them all as well, so drop your comments on whether you believe perhaps maybe Hecky's just lost a few fans this week. These comments around the point at Blackburn, or should we just wasn't a happy guy, was he? Maybe we should give him, he's got enough credit in the bank to let him off with that. If we are in the division next season, we are asking across the network, which team from League One would you look forward to an away trip? No, Blackpool aren't going to be there, Harvey. I think we're pretty safe on that. So, any good away trips you can see there? Who'd you like to see back?
I'm torn between 3 at the minute. A lot of Preston fans will say Huddersfield, because Huddersfield away is just always a really good day for us. I think we always tend to do well at Huddersfield. I like the ground. I've been there a few times now. So Bolton is another one for me. I've got like a really strange soft spot for Bolton. I don't really know why, but I just do. I like the ground. I went there for the friendly at the start of the season. There's just something about it. I like Bolton. And the other one I would say would probably be Stockport. Just because one of my closest friends is a Stockport fan, so it'd be nice to get some bragging rights there, and it'd be another ground to tick off. So any of them three would be lovely.
Yeah, let's get some northern teams back up, shall we? We can't have all these southern long trips on a Tuesday night to Cardiff and Lincoln and all that. Yeah. All right, bro. Cheers, Harvey. Just a quick one on this next one. There's some article out this week about us falling out of love just generally with football, not as a North End fan, just as a nation. Do you think there's a growing gap between the modern day game and fans, and why do you think that is, if that's the case?
Yeah, I think the main reason, if you asked me, like if it was like a life or death question, I think it's got to be technology. I think the technology in the modern game, obviously, you look at like VAR and stuff like that. I think it's killing the love of the game, that a lot of people had. Obviously, a lot of the older generation won't like it. One, because they might not understand it as much, and two, I think it's so good at killing games and slowing games down. And obviously we've seen it this season. You're waiting, like 2 to 5 minutes just to see whether somebody's toenails offside, and it's stuff like that I think just kills the passion of it, really. And on top of that, I think that a perfect example is I was watching the Spurs Arsenal game yesterday, and the game's gone really soft for me. I think that nowadays you just you breathe down a player's neck and they can throw themselves to the floor and it gets given. I'm not saying that obviously we should bring back leg breaking tackles, but I just think that football was made to be a contact sport, and I think that it's kind of just being killed a little bit in that sense. Obviously, nowadays the money's so much higher and the expectations are just a bit different, really. And I think that it's things like that I think money is now the main factor of being more important than like fans and atmospheres and just enjoying, what is, like the most famous sport in the world, really. So
Brilliant.
as long as that is the situation, it probably won't change. And I think that unless that there was some drastic outrage where, money and technology weren't a thing, then maybe football could go back to the way it was. But I think it's just, unfortunately, something that we have to deal with these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Another reason they said is that podcasts are killing the game as well. Everyone's got an opinion on football as well, so perhaps we're not contributing ourselves much. But anyway, we're not harming anyone making a small North End podcast, are we? Right, look to letter Q for our A to Z. Now the others have left you in the lurch here on their half-term trips or whatever they're up to this week. Have you anything at all? Quarterfinals.
Yeah. Tell you what, I will do a nice one, just because obviously it's only me and you. We can do the quarterfinal of the Preston Aston Villa FA Cup game.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
And be able to begin to think of a player without Joey and his 1950 memory. So
yeah, we need Joey and his encyclopedia, don't we? Right, in the comments, if there's a North End player that has got Q or surname with Q, let us know in the comments. Thank you very much, Harvey, for this week. Good looking at Swansea, good looking at Millwall. We'll review all of that next week. If you're a North End fan that fancies having a go at a podcast as well, we'd be delighted to listen to you. Drop your name in the comments. We'll grab you on here. You can give your views on all things North End. Fingers crossed. We've got 13 games to go. North End can still make Wembley Way come May 26th. Fingers crossed. Catch you next week. Thanks for watching.